Now, more stories, insights, and analysis of Illinois policy and politics. This is Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Opportunity Project. Once again, your host, AM 560's Dan Proft.
Dan Proft back with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints.com, on this edition of Rising. And Ted, another Wirepoints original story. You guys are doing some good work here. We talk a lot about where Illinois is last in the nation when it comes to quality of life metrics, but here's something where we're first in the nation, or at least first in the Midwest. That is, we're leading the way with growth in our food stamp enrollees. So I understand from Nancy Pelosi that transfer payments like unemployment benefits, food stamps, are economic stimuli, and so this is terribly good news.
You know, it's sad, but I think that's the way in Illinois they look at things like food stamps and Medicaid. It's almost a badge of honor if a politician can say, we've got more people on food stamps, we've got more people on Medicaid, we're taking care of our people. And, anybody who thinks about it a little bit thinks that, well, that's the exact opposite of what should be happening.
One in 6 Illinoisans on food stamps.
Yeah, and it's way too many people, right? And then you've got, 1 in 4 on Medicaid, and we're heading towards 1 in 3 in Medicaid. So that means more and more people are dependent on the government, for their day-to-day livelihood, and that's wrong. And the way to actually fix the problem is to have fewer people on food stamps, fewer people on Medicaid, and that's by creating jobs and creating an environment where people don't have to rely on the government.
So compare and contrast the trajectory over since the Great Recession between Illinois and our Midwestern neighbors.
Well, we looked at the numbers since then, and Illinois has since 2009, we're about 17% higher than we were at that point of the recession. All of our neighbors, except for Iowa, but Indiana's down 24% in terms of the number on food stamps. Kentucky down 20%, Missouri 18%, Wisconsin down 9%. All of our neighboring states are taking people off of food stamps, right?
And the national trend line is also declining.
Exactly. So if you look back, we're finally below where we were in 2010. So at the national level, so we've gone down it's been good news, and certainly I think Trump has trumpeted that, and yet here we are, we're 17% higher, and it's just it's a sad state about how we're taking care of our people.
Well, and it also speaks to perhaps that political interests are prioritized over the interest for the actual resident or family, right? The quickest way to make somebody a loyalist politically is to make them dependent on you. And so it seems to me that's the political class's game here, is give away benefits, create dependency. It creates a reliable voting bloc. And I see people, says the politician, as just means to my political ends. So this is a way that I can feel good about serving them, like you were saying, touting how many more people you're enrolling in these welfare programs, while ensuring that they are dependent on me and thus loyal to me when it comes time to vote.
Well, it's a beautiful narrative. I'm going to take care of you. I'm the one taking care of you. Those guys over there don't want to take care of you. And it's a sad narrative, but it's worked, and it's working in Illinois. Now, the correct narrative, and I think we're going to see more and more of it, and I think we'll see it here in Illinois at some point, and it's happening across the country and in other states, and Trump is certainly one pushing it, is work requirements. Look, if you want to get things like food stamps or Medicaid, you have to work, or you have to be actively looking for work or being trained. And I think those are all fair things, right?
But I mean, so Bevin in Kentucky, for example, moved right away when the Trump administration provided that latitude to impose a work requirement for Medicaid benefits. But in Illinois, we don't even have Republicans that are willing to do that.
No, Bruce Rauner, for I think 2 years in a row, has requested a waiver from some of those mandates, not all of them, but some of the work requirements. And so in reality, if we get people back to training themselves, looking for work, they'll get the work, right? But and this is in a situation. Listen, we got the lowest unemployment rate in the nation right now in decades. This is a great time to get people back to work and get back to dependency, right? People, if you stay out of the market too long, you forget how to work.
Well, and it's funny too because what's the scam? What's the fork-tongued demagoguery we get from the political class? We're going to impose that work requirement as soon as we get people jobs. So we're taking care of them. Then we're going to go get them a job, and then we'll remove the benefits when we've got them a job. I mean, why don't you just put them to work in government then, since we're kind of already paying at multiple layers. But that's perverse. That's not how you incentivize people to take ownership of their lives.
No, and we've seen a lot of places where once those work requirements are put in place, people, get off their sofas. They start looking for jobs. There's a lot of qualified people out there, but if we make it too easy, if the benefits are all there, you got your Medicaid, you got your food stamps, people lose that incentive and that motivation, and it's understandable. I mean, you know what happens with your kids, or those of us who have kids. You make it too easy for them, they relax, and if you make them do a little work, they get out there and get it done.
Well, and the funny thing too is the politics of this, because of course this is all embedded in politics. It's policy making. So, in La Follette, progressive Wisconsin, here we go again. They're not afraid to move in this direction, and they've enjoyed Republican majorities for the last 8 years. We're afraid to move in that direction as the super minority party in the worst governed state in the country. So the kind of the lack of productive risk-taking instinct from the Republican Party on issues that are so obvious, that are 80% issues if you just communicate to people, never ceases to astound me.
Well, I think if you look at what's happening nationwide, and this is a potential positive for creating pressure for Illinois, if we can actually make that pressure happen, is that lots of states, I was looking at the stats, so many states have taken advantage of the booming economy, the rising stock market, the investment. You've got money's coming in as a result of the tax reforms. A lot of them have said, okay, we're going to get off that waiver. We're going to demand that people try to find work. And it's working. It's working because it's a booming economy. And this is precisely the time when Illinois should be doing the same thing. And yet the politics of the situation means we're just missing the opportunity. And once that recession comes, then it won't be possible to get those people jobs. It'll be much harder. And we're just perpetuating and making the problem worse.